So here we are, folks. It's time to check out Firewatch. It's a game that actually, funny enough, Lynn's here in the chat. She brought my attention, I believe, to this one first. Was it Lynn that showed? I'm pretty sure it was Lynn that showed me this first. There's an article on maybe Destructoid or Giant Bomb. One or the other, I think. And it's a really, really pretty game that I don't know much about other than we're going to be a forest ranger or something in the forest, and we'll be having narrative conversation with a voice on the other end. Maybe it'll be like an outdoor expedition version of Soma or something. I don't really know where this game goes or what happens in it, and I want to keep it that way. Chat. But I'll try my best here to enjoy this in my usual appropriate ways. So why don't we start it out? If you wanted to see, here's the options menu again. I already have subtitles on, autosaves on. I don't know if toggle head bob means that it's on or off, but probably that it's on, because you would think that would default. There's our graphic settings. Everything's fine. And controls. I'm using the control sticks and 360 controller on this one for now. Alright, why don't we get into things? Let me know if the sound needs to be tweaked at all. Right now it's going to be quiet. It's just a little misty wind in the background, but it'll pick up. And like I said, subtitles, so it should be alright. But let's start it up. Firewatch, here we go. New game. Are those text cards, like, clear looking? Because on my preview they looked a little weird and squished down. Hopefully you can read those just fine. You see Julia. Okay. We'll be looking for Julia now. Or we see her already. Oh, that was a prompt. She's about your age, late 20s, laughing with well-dressed professors and grad students from nearby CU Boulder. CU Boulder, I see you! I hope we don't end up in the ICU Boulder. You, Henry, are out drinking with your pals. You approach her. Oh, okay, so it's like giving me options, except there aren't options, because it's just that. You are drunk. So, what's your, major? You're pretty. It's, it's a little forward, but it is more direct than, so what's your, major? You're pretty, she says coolly. You are not. You are a future hangover. What? You reply confused. Someone should buy you a cheeseburger, she says. She flags down a waiter, and 1 week later, you are Julia's boyfriend. Oh. You're pretty. Pretty funny looking. Not necessarily. Hey, it's one of those games where you can see your body. It's like me again. That's how I keep my belt loop. My belt always sticks out a little metal end like that. Well, not always under my shirt, but it does happen. And shoes don't look terribly dissimilar from the way I carry my own. This is a good dance that I'm doing here. Also, a lot of dust shooting out. Got a little Team Fortress 2 look to the art style right now. Oh, we're, I guess we're substituting out the button prompts since I'm using the controller. The elevator knew when I picked up my backpack, because it's cool like that. I like this trend of games showing you your body when you look down. Can't believe how many years we went without that happening. It's about time. Take back the bodies. Very kind of touching music playing in the background. I'm not sure exactly what the message is that it's trying to convey right now. Can't really interact with any of this stuff that I know of. I do have a sprint button, I believe. What was that? It just... Oh, X? I think it's X. Yeah. It seems to run on a stamina system. Well, I mean, God rays are nice and all, but I've seen my fair share of those these days. Cool shadow. Do I not cast a dynamic shadow on the wall? That's a bit disappointing, isn't it? Yeah, I don't. Oh well. I have to admit, I'm not probably going to be able to be unbiased now that I've finished The Witness. Visually such a stunning game. Not that I think this is... or that it even matters, but or that this is going to fall very much short from it. Just, like, little details that I'm going to notice might feel a bit different. Do you not shut the tailgate thing at the end? The gate at the bottom? You date for over a year. She drives you absolutely nuts. It's great. I love being nuts. You move in, you share an apartment near the school with a view of the mountains. You two drink beers out on the deck. You drink beer just about everywhere. Life is good. Thank you very much, Blue Hermit Dog, for your 6 months of resubscription. Julia wants to get a dog. There's a scruffy, undersized beagle. Julia's in love. She wants to bring it with her to class. There's also an intimidating but gentle-eyed German Shepherd. Nothing bad could happen to Julia while walking this dog. It's badass. So you can either pick up the beagle and she names him Bucket, or you adopt the shepherd and name him Mayhem. Well, I would want to ask her, you know, how do you feel about this German Shepherd that I want to apparently name Mayhem? Yeah, I'll turn off the resub thing, you're right. That's fair enough. I don't know, I always hate when games do this kind of thing, because it's like, it's kind of baiting you in a way that's not realistic, because you would never just adopt a dog when you're standing next to your significant other without having a conversation about it. And since they're basically setting this up this way, it's sort of like, do what she wants or do what you want. And that's not a good way to have a conversation. I want it to be an even ground. Why can't the relationship have a little bit of compromise and give and take? That's what makes us strong. You know? Personally, I've been around beagles, and to some small extent, I've been around a couple of German Shepherds. They're both fine dogs in general. I don't think they're bad dogs or anything, but I think the German Shepherd is probably more apt if you're sort of a wilderness person. And they're probably a little less work, oddly enough, even though they're larger. The beagle, they're so wiry, and they have a lot of energy, and they constantly make noise. German Shepherds can be kind of chill sometimes. Although, the temperament for all dogs is a little different. Beagles are cute. So, see, it's difficult to judge because I don't know which side I want to land on. Is it about what kind of dog it is? Is it about her preference versus my preference? I don't know what we're judging here. Well, she loves the beagle. She can have the beagle. I don't mind the beagle either. Sure, here we go. Bucket's a good dog, and a week later, you've totally forgotten about the other one. Julia loves him. You love him too. Alright, well, apparently I picked a nice dog. 1979. You talk out on the deck. It's summer, 9:30 p.m., and the heat still radiates off the high desert. Huh? Okay. Because I don't know where we are. What do you think about kids, she asks. Kids? They're not very smart, or good at much. I'm saying if you and I have some, couple little idiots, that would be pretty good. One day, why rush? Hey, I mean, this is another one of those judgment calls. It's highly personal. The fact that she brought it up suggests that it's on her mind, so it seems a little bit like the answer she wants to hear is that would be pretty good. So are we really just placating her, or do we actually get to assert our own values here at all? And why are we dating this person that seems to have contrary beliefs to whatever I seem to think? I don't know. Maybe that's just my own personal biases weighing in. I'm going to say one day, why rush? That's how I personally feel. She looks away, out towards the mountains. I thought we were in the desert. The desert and mountains? We have plenty of time, right? Speak for yourself, mister. Don't worry, you assure her. You tell her she has the body of an undergrad. Wow. My ovaries didn't get the memo, she says, laughing it off. One day, okay? Aw. Such a serious conversation to be having this early into the game where we don't even really know these people at all. Okay, one day, she says. 6 months later, you get engaged, lying in bed on a Sunday morning. Oh, that's sweet. think that's so much better and more of a personal way to do something like that. The whole marriage thing is, it's so blown out of proportion a lot of the time. I mean, granted, it's just my own personal preference again, and people are free to get married and live any way they want. But I just think it's so much more touching if you do something in a way that sort of feels in alignment with your daily lives than this big, grand, sweeping gesture where you, like, bring her to a pavilion by the waterfront and get it down on your knee and then recite a poem or a quote and then hand out the ring. It's like, yes, they're all traditions, we all observe traditions, but sometimes breaking tradition makes something so much more personal. I don't know. I think that's nice that they get engaged lying in bed, that's all I'm saying. Alright. Game time. Well, I mean, the other part was game time, too, but this is a different kind of game time. This is the kind with visuals that we value so much. What's up with that reflective mirror that is kind of not very reflective, huh? Alright. It has been said. Got your extra tire, ready for anything. Very sharp shadows on that. I guess that's what you get for Ultra. So there's a trailhead. Is this... I suppose this is where we're meant to be going. Fire danger is extremely high today. Prevent forest fires. Alright, so a particularly hot day. Now, can I also... I think I can run with left stick by clicking it in. But yet you still don't have a shadow. Yeah. That's okay. So let's have a look. I assume we will find a way to take this map. Maybe not this map, but a copy of this map. Where am I? Supply drop. That's very specific. I'm gonna be covering all this ground. This is massive. A Pity Meadow, Thoroughfare Basin, Beartooth Point, Mule Point, Thunder Canyon. That's a powerful name. Jonesy Lake, 5 Mile Creek, Cottonwood Creek, Ruby River, Two Forks Lookout. I'm certain we're gonna be on some part of this here. I'm just looking for where the actual trailhead starts. Is it this point up here? What does that say? Two Thoroughfare Trailhead. Is that where I am? Yes, okay, so we're down at the bottom right here. Starting out. So the first thing we'll see is Two Forks Lookout if we're heading straight in, with the Ruby River to our left. I'm only paying extra attention to this because I know it's relevant to the game, and, well, it might be useful for me to know some context about where we could be and where we're going. So, at the end is Thoroughfare Lookout, all the way at the top, slightly to the right. Cool. Don't forget to check in, no fireworks, Thoroughfare Trail is not recommended for inexperienced hikers. You're in their county, learn to live with bears. Okay, there will most likely be a bear encounter. Let's check in. Don't forget to check in. Alright. Is that not how we check in? That's where you do that. Oh, we can zoom in with left bumper. That's probably useful. Alright, well, I guess I forgot to check in. Sorry. I tried. So Thursday night... oh, and this is 1980. So Thursday night and Julia is 4 hours late. She doesn't call. You're worried and getting angrier by the minute. She walks in after you've gone to bed. Where was she? She's not quite drunk, but she's clearly been having a fun time. You fight when she gets between the sheets. I either have to get mad or ignore her. Well, I don't really advocate any high level of anger here, but I think it's more practical to get mad and resolve the issue than ignore her and have a long-running issue that we don't quite know why is going on. So I'm gonna say I get mad. You call her an inconsiderate asshole. She tells you to fuck yourself and to not be such a baby. You call her selfish. She knows you mean it and it hurts her feelings. Why can't we just have reasonable reactions to things? Well, nobody's perfect. Alright, well, it's a year later, so I guess things are okay. Julia likes to draw. She draws plants from her research. Okay, so she does stuff with plants. She draws all the places you go. She draws you. You pose and flex like He-Man. You frolic like a Victoria's Secret model. I'll frolic. That seems nice. Julia was right. You are very pretty. Okay. Not sure how that exactly factors in. Am I, like, deciding traits about my character right now? Maybe I'm making decisions that actually matter for the long term. That's a lovely color pattern we've got going on here. I'm a huge fan of the yellow to orange to pink to purple gradient. It's just one of my favorites. Especially if you add a little bit of, like, an iridescent blue-green sheen into it. Oh, so... Just want to kiss your fingers and do the Italian spaghetti thing. So good. That was mildly racist, by the way. I'm sorry about that. 2 forks, fire lookout. Okay. Spacebar to climb all... Yeah, no, I'm not using that. So A. $1982. During the summers, you and Julia enjoy walking bucket at night. There's a festival in town. It brings in folks from faraway places. One of them tries to mug you with a knife. Oh. Well, folks not from faraway places could also mug you with a knife. Oh no! Bucket gets kicked. B-ba, fuck the dog! Julia yells. She gets flustered and has trouble speaking when she's stressed. You confront the attacker. You either scare him away or you beat his goddamn face in. Don't kick the dog. That's screwed up, man. I don't know. I scare him away, I guess. You reach into your pocket like you've got a gun and threaten to kill him. You manage to scare all 3 of you. He runs away. Julia asks you to take a different path from that day forward. You say, okay. You don't want to go that way either. From then on, you walk by the river. Oh, I thought she meant metaphorically, like a different path, like don't ever put your fingers into your pocket again. That seemed very drastic for, like, because that happened, that she'd be like, I never want you to act that way again, but I'm just trying to save the 3 of us. Oh no, 1984 plans to have kids get waylaid by work. Julie gets offered a job at Yale. Yale is in Connecticut, 2,000 miles away. It's a great job, associate department chair. She wants to move. You absolutely do not. Oh, no, this is going to be personal, isn't it? Convince her not to take the job or agree if she commutes back and forth. Either way, not the best way to go about things. Yeah, see where this is headed. Convincing her not to take the job is screwed up. Telling her to agree if she commutes back and forth will work for a time, but it's going to put an incredible stress on the relationship that probably will end it eventually. Yeah, and commuting 2,000 miles either way, like, how often do you get to see each other? I hate that they're putting me in these positions already, like, I just wanted to walk on some trails, man. I didn't want to have to make these hard-hitting decisions about the life of my character already. I'm gonna, like, learn a little context first before we get involved in this. Where's the I will apprehensively decide to move to Connecticut because I've had enough life experience to know that these other 2 options lead to a worse life, ultimately? That's not an option for me, and I hate that. I've seen the error of my ways. I've learned as a person. I know better now than this character does in their life. I guess I'm, like, older than this character also, I think, which is weird. I still think of myself in my head as, like, 20. Which is not how old I am anymore. Either way, this is bad. I don't know. I'll agree if she commutes back and forth. So So the two options tell me, one, that if I were to convince her to not take the job, she'll probably have a fight with me. Maybe she'll just break up with me right then. Versus agree if she commutes back and forth, where we'll go on kind of suffering for a bunch of while, like maybe a year or something, and then eventually she'll leave me because it's just not working out. So as much as this would be the preferential choice, I think convince her not to take the job might force the issue enough that it might be better for both of us in the long run, even if it's not the desired outcome given the circumstances. Or I could be wrong and the character reacts completely differently than the way that I just put this forward, so I'm gonna say convince her not to take the job, even though I don't agree with that statement for the reasons that the game is putting them to me in. You tell her this means the two won't have a family. She says that's bullshit. She's totally right. Wow, okay, now the game is editorializing at me. That's odd. She asks if her taking the job means you won't come with her. You say yes, again, bullshit, but she decides not to take it. Oh, god damn it. "1985, Julia is asked to leave Boulder on paid leave after having an episode. She lost it on a colleague for borrowing books that were important to her research. She didn't remember she had happily loaned them to him just 2 days prior." She's found crying in the stairwell, so she's very depressed. And one of the things about depression is it can screw with your memory and your ability to be focused or, like, sort of with it in moments of stress at times. So this issue that I pushed on her by her not taking the job is leading to her having major problems down the line. Unfortunately, the two of them are sort of codependent in that they need each other, but they also are sort of bad for each other, which is sad. So we have the choice to react to her crying in the stairwell that maybe you guys should talk to someone about it, or make macaroni and drink wine and try and forget about it. Both of these options, one of them sounds like much better than the other one, and it is, but also they also both might be better than the other one in certain contexts, as silly as that sounds to say. So, depending on the people, I mean. I said we should go see someone. After seeing multiple doctors and having many tests, they are worried that Julia might be suffering from early onset dementia. She is 41. Oh my god. That's really bad. That's not what I thought we were getting at all. Dementia's super fucked up. We both decide to keep it a secret for now. There's no options here. Oh, wow, I didn't have any idea this game was going to be so emotional already. I thought this was just going to be, like, a story that takes place while you're in the woods. So I've got my journal here. Whoa, oh, geez. I didn't expect that. Bucket is getting older. Julia comments that it's kind of nice because he gets in less trouble around the house. A week later, she goes back to the university. "1987. Julia's affliction gets worse. She can't remember things in class. Her research is in shambles. She drives her car to the next town over for no particular reason and has to be brought home by the police. She is devastated. She's sent home on permanent medical leave." Wow, this is so sad. "Some days you get the Julia who calls you a dope and your unborn children little idiots. Other days you get a stranger. She pulls you into bed to make love. After 5 minutes, she goes into a panic, believing her dad is at the door. You tell her family, they're crushed and begin to make trips to and from their home in Australia to visit her. For a while, your friends come by with little things to brighten the day. She gets worse." 1988. You spend your days following Julia around the house. Count the seconds between the 2 weekly visits from Daniel the nurse. He suggests that Julia could live somewhere else, somewhere with 24-hour care, a home. It sits with you for a couple months. This is way too heavy, man. This is like one of the ugliest sides of... The other side of the coin of how great relationships can be is when this kind of thing goes down, and it happens way more regularly than you'd want to believe. Now you have to start coping and grieving that the person you love isn't really there anymore. And I guess at this point in the situation, if she's really not herself anymore, you start to have to wonder if you can still look after yourself. I mean, it's poetic and sort of beautiful to want to be there for somebody in some of the hardest times in their life, but if they're in dementia, like, they don't necessarily know that it's even you or know what that means. But I guess maybe if there are still moments where that does happen, then it's worth it, but I don't have that specific instance. I don't know what any of this means for us, if that's where we go with it. I mean, we're still relatively young people in the scheme of things, right? Like, it said she was 41, and that was, what, a few years ago? So I'm guessing we're under 50. I mean, there's still a chance that you might have another serious relationship in your life after that. It's not like you're elderly. It's so ugly to even think about things like that. You know, breaking away from the romance element and getting to the pragmatism of what's left of you. And to try and see a person that's still there in your life as not there. It's really gross and hard to see. But she's your wife, yeah, that's true. Oh, well, this is such a fucking brutal decision to have to make. Is it better for her? Is her quality of life improved by being in this full-time care facility? Or would she be happier not being there? I don't know. How lucid is she? Because if she's really gone into the later stages of dementia, it might not even matter whether I was with her or not at all. In which case, it's actually just hurting me and not so much her, because she's not her anymore. So again, this feels a bit like a trap, where whichever decision I make is the wrong decision in a way, and maybe it's set up that way too. I'm gonna sadly and begrudgingly move her into a full-time care facility, even though it destroys me to say that. This is really hard. Sometimes you just gotta go out into the freaking woods. Stare at the trees for a while. Where everything seems simpler. I wonder if this is actually a story about the main character breaking down after all of this. And maybe the person on the other end of the radio that I have heard about. Oh, look, a stag. Because I have seen little bits and pieces of the story about this. Maybe the person on the other end of the radio is the lucid version of his wife. I don't know. Again, it's incomplete information. I don't know where things are. Her family agrees with your decision. You find a fantastic place in Boulder and move her there. You see her every day, then every other day. I knew that's how that was going to go. You go out to the bar with your old friends. It's not the same. You get the feeling that every wife tells her husband, if you ever put me in a home like Henry did, I will cut your balls off. You slowly decide to not see your old friends that much. 1989. Julia's sister Susan moves to Boulder to be close to her. She visits her every day. You go with her some of the time. Susan buys you an old typewriter and urges you to use it. If you won't see a therapist, you won't. You always really liked Susan. Months go by. Bucket dies. Julie doesn't remember him when you tell her. Sometimes it takes her a minute to lock in on you. In the back of your mind, you believe it's because you see her less and less. And seeing her less and less makes her forget you more, you think. But that's sort of confirmation bias, right? I mean, I didn't make that decision. Like, if I had chosen the other one, it might have been something else, too. And I don't know what would have happened in the other situation, either. Summer is coming and you see an ad in the paper for a job. You take it. Oh no, you did make that decision. No, I know I made that decision. I was thinking through something and I didn't say it all properly. What was that? Was there just text on the screen for like a split second? Did I look at something? What was that? There's something on the ground here? Oh, spacebar to hop over. What am I hopping over? This? Why am I doing that? Maybe there's a reason. I don't think it lets me actually use it. Oh, never mind, it does. Alright. Thoroughfare Fire Lookout, 6.2 miles to the north. Beartooth Point or Thoroughfare Fire Lookout. Well, we've got to at least go up the tower, right? I know I could walk past it, but obviously we're going to go up. This is the up of video games. Yeah, you're kind of right about that. It's just too real. That's really pretty. If not for the reticle, actually, this image right here would be a lovely desktop. Actually, I could just hide the reticle in the moon. There you go. Screenshot away. That's really pretty. Oh man, there's so many things like that I know these sort of decisions are just lurking out there in the world, and they'll probably one of them will happen to me eventually. It just makes me so sad to think that, like, sometimes that's what the future is. Well, I guess you just gotta really enjoy what you've got now while you've got it. Well, I've got the radio. I've got the pine cone. What, I can examine the pine cone? Oh. What do we examine about a pine cone? I've seen these before. Sweet. Okay, you can stay on the desk, that's fine. What about this postcard here? Can examine that? Greetings from Wyoming, wild and free. Nope. No power? No desk lamp? Anybody there? Cookbook? Can't interact with that apparently. Or the stove. Or the guidebook? Am I just like not getting the buttons right? No, I'm pressing all the buttons. Glory. Wow, that is such like a 70s book cover. Don't mind your mind alone. Yeah, I want to put this back more neatly. That's right. Every game should let you do that. That's very important to me, that you put the books back neatly. And what about the the generator switch, of course. Supplies for... Oh, hello. Up and down to select dialogue.
Hello? Whoever this is?
It's Henry, right?
Yeah.
I'm Delilah.
Yeah, that's what the guy said on the phone.
So, what's wrong with you?
Excuse me?
People take this job to get away from something. So, what's wrong?
What's wrong with you?
That's a great idea. Go ahead.
Look, I just hiked for 2 days, so I don't really follow whatever it is you're doing right now.
You take a stab at what's wrong with me.
Fine, then can I... sleep? Forever?
Sure, buddy. Okay, now go ahead.
You've killed 3 ex-husbands, you're rebelling against mom. Nobody back home can stand you. Is there more than that? Oh.
You're just gonna wait me out on this? Ugh,
I didn't realize there was a
fine.
timer.
But I'm gonna take a second here and have a guess about you. Let's see. I don't know anything about you. I say you got fired from your job and have finally decided to write your novel. That's the sort of bullshit reason you'll find a man out in the woods.
Good night.
Welcome to the job.